Hello and welcome to Counterpressed on Spotify and The Ringer. I'm in the studio with Jessy Humphreys and Kate Longhurst. On today's show, we talk about the new UEFA Europa Cup. What is it? Where is it? Why is it happening? We'll get into all of that. And we're also chatting to Stef McLoughlin from Glasgow City. Well, guys, how are we feeling? How's everyone's week?
Good.
Yeah?
Well, it's because I'm normally in on a Monday.
Yeah.
This feels like a Monday to me.
Oh,
but really, we're nearly at the
you?
weekend. I'm
I know.
so confused.
Thursday's the new Friday, as people famously say. So,
Yeah.
Kate, a little birdie tells me you might be playing on Sunday.
I have signed the form.
What form? A release
I
form?
don't know, like an FA form.
You got to be registered with the
registered
FA.
Okay.
Yeah. Kate's never had to do that before because she's always been a professional club.
No, I've had to sign. Oh, actually, have I?
You
No,
must
but
have had
there'll
to
be-
sign
I've had to
stuff.
sign something.
Maybe it'll be in your contract.
Maybe at the beginning.
Yeah, but it'll all be
probably
done
that,
by
yeah.
someone in
I
an
don't know.
office, not
Yeah.
like a volunteer coach who's
Yeah.
sorting out the paperwork.
Wait, so where
Gotta
are
pay
you
me subs.
playing? This is just so funny to
Brighton
me. Huh?
Brighton Sea. We've got.
Where
What
the hell
is
is that?
Well, it's near Colchester.
Oh, okay. This is
But my
proper
friends-
Sunday league. Kate's playing in a
Yeah.
place you've simply never heard
Can we
of.
come and watch you?
My friend manages the team.
Okay.
So I said I'd help out.
Ringer.
And I've got, because I wanted a bit of training they train once a week.
Yeah.
So I trained last night, a bit sore today. I'm so unfit. Oh my God, I'm unfit. But yeah, I'm playing on Sunday.
Wow. What
I don't know how it
position?
happened. I don't know. Hopefully I'll get the call up and start. I don't know. I might be on the bench.
But like
Surely not.
wing back, strike. Which of your many positions are you going to be playing in?
Well, when I played for him pre-season a couple of times, I've just played centre mid.
Okay.
So
That's how you
but
finish
we'll
your
see.
career.
Yeah,
So
we'll see. But
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my God, imagine going to play Sunday League and being against Kate Longhurst.
well, I was going to
I
say,
would be pissed off. I'd be like, fuck off.
do you feel pressure?
No.
You don't. No, because what if everyone says, "Oh, she played pro,"
I
and then
don't
you're
think
shit,
people are-
and then it's kind of
Well, she won't
embarrassing.
be
I won't.
Flo.
I'm just too good. No, I'm joking, I'm joking.
No, but she is.
I mean, we know that.
No, just loads of Cruyffs. I just love a Cruyff.
Spinning around
Yeah.
the centre.
You're not moving. You're just
Yeah,
going
I
round
would
in
just stand on the spot and just...
Well, I can't wait to find out on Monday. I can't remember if Kate's in what went down in that Sunday League show. But let's get into the UEFA Europa Cup because we kind of felt like we needed to do a deep dive on this. It's a new competition. People maybe don't understand what it is. So we were going to get to the bottom of what this competition is, why we should be excited about it, and how it could impact the teams playing in it. So let's get into it after this. So, lots of Googling was done, I shall say, from the off. And this second tier UEFA competition was announced actually quite a long time ago. There was lots of calls to have something that sort of picked up the teams that were knocked out of the Champions League. It's a little bit similar to the Europa League that men's football fans will be familiar with, but it's not exactly the same. We've got some teams coming in who are qualifying from their league, so they're the lower ranked associations, and then we've got a lot of teams coming from the Champions League qualifiers who get knocked out and don't progress. PSV, Glasgow City, we're going to chat to Steph shortly. So it's a bit of a mix and match. 44 clubs in total. It's not got any groups, 6 rounds, 2 qualifying rounds, round of 16, quarterfinals, semi-final, and this is kind of special, a 2-legged final.
Love.
That's a throwback.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it, but what if you lose 6-0 in the first leg and you've got to turn up for another
Oh yeah, like the
leg?
Chelsea-Barcelona Champions League final if you
Then-
had to go and then play
Can
again.
you imagine if you had to do that twice
No,
over?
I don't know what I'd do.
No, I think what will happen, judging when you look at the teams that have progressed, when you've got some quite big names in there, Hammarby, PSV,
No,
Inter,
but you just don't know if you
Glasgow
might
City.
bottle
You
it.
should
I know
be
you
left
don't-
with 2 good
I
teams.
think you
but
should be left with 2 fairly good teams because some of the score lines, like for example, Glasgow City won 6-0 in aggregate against Athlone Town, who are in the Irish League and extremely chaotic. Their manager left a week before the game. I think hopefully as the competition continues, it should level out a bit. I do think when you look at the early setup, there's some real randoms who I think might struggle. But as we get into the business end...
Also, PSV were down 3-0 in their first leg and came back and won 4-0.
4-0,
So that we
what?
could have that happen in a
That's
two-legged
true,
final.
actually. That would be exciting.
Yeah, I think I think two-legged thing is quite fun. It just reminds me of the old school Champions League.
But
Which
fan-wise, would you turn up to both games? Like,
Of course.
yeah, if you're a hardcore,
Okay,
if
but
you
is
support
everyone
And
another
it's
gonna
home and
team.
do
away,
that?
right?
Yeah.
So
true.
it's just an extra away game.
And they've probably done that because they also don't know what the fandom is going to be, and therefore they can't really necessarily choose a stadium to host it in and choose a neutral ground. So maybe it makes more sense to say one team can have both at this stage, whereas potentially in the future we'll move, as it gets more popular, to a single final neutral ground. I just think they're still sort of figuring out at the moment because they have no idea how it's going to go.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Saturday.
Pause.
broke. Sorry.
Really, hear me
I
out.
broke.
Okay, I'm hearing, but nothing is happening.
Saturday, Sunday, Europa Cup Champions League final. One city. One
One city,
festival of
two
European.
grounds.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
I
I
think
love
that'd be
that.
fun.
That would be really fun.
Just in the future when they make it one game.
Yeah, that would be very
I
fun.
actually like that. That's a great idea.
Unclear so far on how it will work from a sort of like prize money, broadcast, everything point of view. As
Which is sort of crazy.
Which is sort of crazy. As is standard practice, what tends to happen with the qualifiers, even in the Champions League, is it's the home team that will manage that. But we don't know once we get into the round of 16, quarterfinals, etc., how we're going to be able to watch it and whether that will still be the case or there'll be one place where we can watch it all. Who knows? The winners of the Women's Europa Cup will automatically qualify for the third qualifying round of the Champions Path of the Women's Champions League. So that's an
I got
incentive.
no idea what you just said.
My
I can't lie.
brain.
What does that mean?
Sorry, let me translate that. So it means
They would go into these two-legged.
they would go into the final round of the Champions League qualifying,
Which is
where
what's
Manchester
at the
United are right
moment.
now,
Okay.
which is a two-legged one. So they'd skip the first and the second, but they wouldn't automatically get into the Champions League. They'd have to do one qualifier.
Which I think's a bit tight. Just put them in.
Yeah, I know. Well, obviously in the men's game, you get that.
So then,
Oh, I
if
know.
they were to then get knocked out, they go back into
Yeah,
Go
welcome
into
back.
the Europa Cup.
Yeah,
It's like snakes.
So
and
at
ladders.
least they
Yeah.
have a cup competition.
yeah, true.
That's true. You're guaranteed a cup competition.
Yeah.
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 Just keep winning it every year then.
So that's the format stuff out the way. How do people feel about this? What's our general thoughts?
Really easy to follow. Honestly, I sat there for about an hour trying to work.
An
I
hour.
had to
That's dedicated.
keep rereading.
Well,
You could
great
tell
prep.
she's retired.
Okay.
I've got nothing else to do other than read about the Europa Cup. I could not fathom. I was reading it on the official thing. It said 31 teams or something, then 44, then 11 from this, 11 from that. One goes through. I was like, my head is scrambled, but I like it.
But
I'm
I'm
here for it.
confused, but I'm going with
I'm
it.
confused.
I
Just
think-
tell me where the games are, when they
And I
are,
will
the
watch.
results,
Yeah,
and I'll be there.
yeah.
I think qualifying in these things, the Champions League one, I still haven't quite got my
So
head around.
confusing.
I mean, I
With
have,
that whole league
but
and path thing
yeah,
and different
the league, the
avenues.
champions.
Well, we
and
had
all that.
before we had the mini tournament. Now it's
We did still have a mini tournament.
Yeah, but then before it was mini tournament and then wasn't it straight in? Now it's mini tournament and then a third round.
No,
No, we
It's
always had
been
that.
like this.
Okay, sorry.
I think so.
See,
Ignore
no
me.
one knows.
Yeah,
no
see,
one
nobody knows.
Chelsea never have to go through it. So.
Yeah, I think it's never the easiest. And yeah, I'm here for it. I'm really here for it. I think we've got to maybe see how things progress. First year, always teething problems. I do worry that it's going to be the sort of unloved little brother, whereas actually when you look at how seriously clubs take the Europa League and the Europa Conference League, when the Conference League came about, I think the conference label kind of dulled the brand a little bit, because when you think conference, you doesn't think European glam. So I don't think the name helped, but I do think actually teams that are in that, West Ham, love it. So I would hope that we get some of that for the teams that are in it, and it doesn't just become this sort of thing that no one cares about or thinks about.
I think also like what stuff like the Conference League has shown I mean, I don't think you'll get like the same West Ham feeling with the Europa Cup, because I just don't think there's that level of fandom with women's teams. But I think like the Chelsea example in the Conference League is maybe more instructive. Is it doesn't take much for a big team to end up in one of these competitions. And like in recent years, we would have seen like Arsenal in this, for example, right? So I think if you end up with bigger sides like in it, it will generate more hype. Like if Manchester United were to lose tonight and then they go into it, you kind of think, well, they'll probably have a pretty good run to the latter stages of it, and it will get attention in England, and United do have like a big vocal fan base, and so people will pay attention as a result. And you only kind of need, I think, a couple of those clubs to be doing it to make people take note. I'm obviously supporting an derby final of PSV Inter Milan.
That'd be great.
That's what I'm voting for.
Well, let's talk to someone from a club that will be playing in this competition. Let's chat to Stef McLoughlin from Glasgow City. Steph, thanks so much for joining us. Our first special guest on Zoom in our brand new studio. And also, I have to say congratulations, because Glasgow City did win last night in their second leg qualifier against Athlone Town, who are an Irish side. So congratulations, 6-0 on aggregate. So morning after that big Europa Cup win, is the energy feeling good about this new competition?
Well, I wasn't with the team yesterday, sadly, but I was watching a lot of it online and also on the Irish app it was on. So it was interesting to see it from like a fan point of view, not watching it in the stadium. So I can only let you know what it was like on WhatsApp in our WhatsApp groups. Everybody's obviously thrilled. And yeah, it was really exciting. And yeah, all of the imagery and everything that's come out of it was, yeah, it's all great. So yeah, lots of high level energy at Glasgow City FC last night.
So the streaming question is a big one, because last week when the first leg of these qualifiers were happening, loads of people on Twitter were saying, how can we even watch it? Usually when it comes to UEFA women's club competitions and qualifiers, it's up to the home side, so whoever's home team within the legs, to take care of the broadcast. So you said obviously that the Athlone Town were broadcasting it on an app in Ireland. So what was that like? Did you have to pay? Was it a free stream? I think these are the things that fans are very curious about.
So it was completely free and very easy to get into. It was a bit like, when we had FA Player over here, but it worked. It was functional. The commentary was good. Yeah, it kind of like ticked all of the boxes. In Scot, so for our first match, we're really lucky. Broadcast in Scotland is really, really good. Like I until I started working in Scotland, I didn't realise how good it actually was. Like the level of production in general is insane, like nothing I've ever seen before. We have things like player interviews at half time, like pre-recorded, like talking about their personalities, their lives, it's a really good sort of like 360 view on the team. So we were really lucky for our first match. BBC Alba broadcasted the match, but like did really high production as well. So it was insanely good, and it was a lot more than I expected. I didn't expect there to be that much interest at that stage in the competition. But even like the like pre-match in the news on BBC Alba, like half of the sports section was about Glasgow City and the Europa Cup, which, like, again, I'd never experienced that before in football. So I know you've just said people don't, it's difficult to watch it, but I don't think that will be the case for Glasgow City and all of our matches. There's been, besides BBC Alba, we have had interest from like brokers and other people wanting to stream as well, and people coming directly to us. So I think there's a bit more interest than normal, and there's more interest than I expected as well. So I think all that is really interesting.
Well, that's good to hear, and that's great as well about this sort of added production value. It's not just a stream; it's actually a proper sports broadcast. How does it work from a prize money perspective? If you continue to get through the qualifiers, how much you expected to get per round, or is it that you get something once you qualify into the main competition?
I don't think any of that information's been made public, Flo, so I don't know whether
I
that's
won't get you in trouble by releasing the UEFA money files. So don't worry, Steph, we can save that. Yeah, there's not, I will say, and we've kind of already spoken about the slightly, confusing format. It's a new product, so they're sort of obviously going to be changes probably as we continue. But there's not a ton of information out there about how this competition is going to progress, or what it's going to look like from a prize money, from a scheduling, from a broadcast point of view. But let's get into the opportunity for your team, because Glasgow City were a team that have entered the competition because they got knocked out of Champions League qualifying, and a large proportion of those taking part in the Europa Cup are there as a result of that. So this season, was it really exciting for you to know that, okay, if we do fall in the qualifying round, that's not it for us?
Me, from like my department, like 100%. So from like a brand positioning perspective for Glasgow City, obviously we're an independent club and we don't have a legacy brand. We're building our own legacy. So if you ask somebody who's, I don't know, like an average person who doesn't really know women's football, like who the most popular or who the most successful team in Scotland is, they're probably going to, mention one of the men's legacy brands, and not us. But we are the most successful club in Scotland, and packaging that with saying we are that, and we're also in Europe this year, like that just adds a level. When people don't really understand women's football, it just adds a level of like prestige and the level of, I don't know, adding like a bit of FOMO in there. But like I think with our brand positioning, saying we are still in Europe, I don't think it really matters. Obviously, the Champions League would have been great, but it doesn't at this point. Whenever we're mentioning it in conversations, people are still excited about it, and people love the fact that we're women led, we're women owned, we're independent, and we're still smashing it really, at one of the biggest stages in Europe. I think that's for brand positioning in general, it adds a beautiful layer to our brand really.
And I guess from like both a football perspective and sort of almost like a revenue perspective, obviously Glasgow City in the past have had spent time in the Champions League, so you're probably one of the clubs who have more experience around this. But often what feels like frustrating for teams who are trying to become a team that competes in Europe regularly is you go to the Champions League qualifiers. They're incredibly, incredibly hard, as English teams have found out themselves in recent years, and sort of everything's over before your domestic season's even begun a lot of the time. How important do you think this competition is for clubs like Glasgow City and other clubs who maybe sit on the cusp between this sort of kind of Champions League level, Europa Cup level, to get these extra games, to get the experience of playing other European teams, and also to be able to have extra games in the calendar as a result of hopefully progressing through a competition?
Yeah, I think in generally, like I can't really discuss it from like a football perspective because that's not my department. You don't want me to be discussing it from a football perspective. But in general, every young player, every player in general wants to play in Europe, right? So the more opportunities that we could be giving like young players and players in general to be playing at that level, and to just have the experience of Europe is amazing, and everybody does seem to be really excited about it. So yeah, so that's all great.
And I guess another thing I'd be kind of interested to hear your perspective on is, obviously we've seen quite a range of different Scottish teams compete in Europe over the past couple of years. Obviously, Chelsea had Celtic in their group, for example, and I know Hibs obviously went out last night of the Europa Cup. But what, from like a sort of Scottish football perspective, more broadly, what does it mean to have this variety of teams to be playing in Europe, and what that kind of says to the rest of Europe about where Scottish football is at the moment?
I think what was really interesting for me following the last, well, not yesterday's match, the match before, when it was our home match, like the looking at all of the online comments and all of the posts from fans and the sentiment from fans about Glasgow City being in Europe and playing in Europe, it was an extra level of excitement and positivity that like I hadn't seen from any of our last season was my first season and we weren't in Europe. So it was like really interesting assessing like the level of engagement and also the level of like love and excitement for the fans who are either Glasgow City fans or just, general women's football fans. So yeah, so I think it's exciting for Scotland to still have a team in Europe and to still be playing at that level and have that level of exposure as well. The exposure is actually a little higher than it's a lot higher actually than I thought it would be because nobody was talking. I don't know whether you guys would agree with this, but like nobody was really talking about it until like last week, and then suddenly it's like it was a bit of a surprise seeing Glasgow City randomly pop up organically in my algorithm for things we hadn't planned. And it's like, oh, what's this? And then you see another one and another one. And it was, a level of interest, which, to be honest with you, I wasn't sure whether, our community and, all of the content creators in our community were going to harness it as much as they actually have, if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense, and I absolutely agree with you. I think it hasn't maybe been helped that there hasn't been a lot of proactive energy and marketing around it, but there never really is around the qualifiers when it comes to Champions League or obviously a new competition, which UEFA probably still figuring out how they push that. The next round of qualifiers, the second round of qualifying, the draw is going to be on Friday, so we're recording on a Thursday tomorrow, so we don't know who you're playing yet. But Steph, as an independent club, obviously you don't have that legacy brand, which is really exciting, but obviously that can sometimes be harder for you. What would you like to see from organisations such as UEFA to really make sure that you can add value when you're in a competition like this?
I think just general visibility, like even little things like when UEFA ran the story yesterday, like we were the picture and we were, one of the leading names, and that can be like such a small thing, right? But it's actually a really big thing for a club like ours to make sure we are on that stage and we are mentioned and our pictures are being used. So in general, the more eyeballs, the more PR, the more broadcast, the more I'm looking through my Instagram and we're popping up organically, all of that general storytelling, PR, like that obviously means a lot to a club that's like a lot of people, even in the media and brand wise in general, like you're automatically looking at things through a male lens, so you don't necessarily, when you think of like a successful club, like I said earlier, we're not the name that may automatically pop up. So just, ensuring that you're taking care of people who aren't necessarily going to have the advantages that come along with, 100 years of history, really.
And could you make any projections? I know it's hard to know because you don't know how far you're going to go in this competition yet, but even having added games to sell tickets for, sell sponsorship for, how much could that increase your commercial revenue, which is obviously your department, across the season? Because if you do get quite far, you've got a lot more that you can work with from a game revenue standpoint.
The value is more on the brand than it is on the actual pounds that come in from the matches or from like bits of like small sponsorship. We're doing, we've been doing lots of brand building in the last 6 months. So we've invested a lot of time in how we sell ourselves, how we position ourselves, how we talk about ourselves, what our imagery looks like. And this just adds another layer of everything we're doing, and all of the storytelling we are doing. So I think that the value for us will come, perhaps not this season, but I think the big value will come for when we position ourselves for like how we're selling ourselves for next season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And actually, when you do look at the list of teams that have progressed into the second round of qualifying, yourselves, Inter Milan and probably PSV and Hammarby are the biggest European brands for those that know women's football. Obviously, you made the point about those who just know the men's game won't necessarily look at Glasgow City as one of those recognisable names, but you do have a long history in Europe, and the fact that you can probably position yourselves as one of the better known sides will also help you moving forward in terms of visibility, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and it's just that I don't know. Like, I'm obviously biased, but like, I do think the Glasgow City story is one of the best football stories around. So, you know, adding that plus European success is great.
Amazing. Steph, thank you so much for joining us and look forward to seeing who you draw in the next round. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for inviting me and speak soon. Bye.
So really interesting to hear from Steph there, because when you do look at all the teams there, Glasgow City, if those of us in the women's game will know that name, and I think they will feel like actually a team that could probably go and win this whole thing, Kate, which is probably quite exciting because much like Spurs men winning the Europa League or Chelsea men winning the Conference League.
And West Ham first.
Oh, sorry, West Ham as well.
First
And I know for Chelsea they've won other stuff, but it means they can say they've won everything in Europe.
And the world.
And the world.
Thank you.
Being able to call yourself a European champion is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I think for players as well coming in, if you're looking at a team that you want to play for, if you've got an option between a team that's in Europe and not in Europe and you're a bit stuck, it gives players something to want to go and do. So, look, they have been a team that have been around the Champions League for a long time, but they've never really, like you said, it's hard for them to progress every single time because they haven't got the budget, they haven't got the players that can compete with the top teams. So for them, now looking at it, they'll have a look at the teams coming in. Obviously, some teams will drop in as well from Champions League qualifiers, but it gives them a real sense of getting far in a competition. So for players, that's an extra incentive for them to do well. Sometimes with the way the league's going as well, it might not be going well, but if you're in a cup competition or a European competition, it also gives you something else to kind of aim for. So I think it's really exciting for clubs to be able to have that opportunity, and they will be looking at that, I think.
And Steph touched on it there. If you were still playing, Kate, I mean, still time to get back in there. It would probably actually, from a recruitment point of view, be quite enticing. Obviously, the games for the qualifiers are starting actually after the window closes. But if you know that you're going to a team that if they don't get through in Champions League qualifying are going to then move into a second-tier European competition, you'll know that you're going to get more games, you're going to play in a European club competition, although it's obviously not as prestigious as the Champions League. That's probably quite a nice recruitment tool as well for players to be able to say that you can play in an extra competition here.
Yeah, it's something that, if you are a player looking for a new club, even for the players that are there, maybe, they have some good players that might want to move on, but actually, okay, we're in Europe, we've got something that we can try and play for. Recruitment-wise, maybe they can look a little bit higher than what they're looking at if they haven't got that option. So, I think as players, for some players, the top level you're never going to be able to reach. So you might be able to play 1 or 2 games in Champions League, but it's not something consistently that you're quite good enough for. So for you to have something else that you can strive for and you're still playing in a European competition, you're still playing at an extremely high level, still going to be great players playing in that. It's hard being a mid-table player and never really having anything to strive for because you want to be the best of the rest, but you're not winning anything. You're just I spent half my career doing that. So it's kind of, where do you keep finding that new motivation? So I think it can only be a good thing, and we've said about the men's, but even with Chelsea, look at the way they celebrated the Conference League last season. Same with West Ham. As a West Ham fan, we don't get to celebrate winning things. So it was a great day, a cup final, a European, cup, that some of these players will never be able to do that in Europa League or Champions League. So, it's good that we can reflect that now into the women's game and give players something like a moment they'll never forget, but something that they can keep striving for every season as well.
I think the other thing as well with the sort of recruitment and the players and being able to play in these competitions is, often if you're playing in, like, say, a smaller league or a league that isn't as competitive, and you're maybe in a team that has more resources than everyone else, so you say win that league or like look very comfortable in that league, it can be hard, I think, if bigger clubs are looking at you to judge what your level actually is. And I think what having extra European competition does is I think it will be interesting to help with like things like scouting, because you're going to get this extra sort of body of work from a player who can maybe show what they look like against a better team, or, you know, be able to judge the whole quality of a side against a side from another league, and be able to actually benchmark players in a way that is quite hard, I think, to do at the moment when there is a lot of disparities in domestic leagues.
And also just collect more data, collect more clips, which is always a challenge. I just hope that it's the first year of it. I just hope that the sort of brand and everything around it can get a little bit stronger, because as we've already spoken about, it's not the simplest format, it's not the best, strongest brand, but they followed the lead with the Europa name. So
Do you know what it needs? A cracking song.
I was about to say a song. Needs a song.
It needs a song.
Maybe we should write it.
UEFA. You have heard Flo Lloyd-Hughes' compositional work on Counterpress before.
The WSL theme that
Are we
I
writing
did.
it and singing it, or just writing it?
Don't you think with these mics in our studio, it feels like we could
put something together.
Yeah.
sing? This used to be the jam room.
This used to be the Spotify Jam Room, so maybe it's
Some
the
good jammy
UEFA
vibes.
recording studio now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, Jessy, as a connoisseur of the Women's Champions League anthem,
In fact, all European anthems, because
Yeah.
wow, Chelsea men being back in the Champions League last night.
well, the Champions League anthem, the Men's Champions League anthem's interesting because it is just a very famous classical piece of music that they've repurposed for the
But it
competition,
goes off.
and it goes off. Is it Benjamin Britten? Who is it? No,
I don't know.
Can't remember. Someone tell us. I can't remember. It's a very famous piece of music. Whereas the Women's Champions League one isn't an original score.
Yes, and I was sceptical at the time.
Yeah, but
But they won me over.
it's great.
I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really
so
like
I
it.
feel like maybe they need to go down the original score again.
Which is why they should come to us.
Yeah, but the Europa men's anthem is really good because it's a bit more of an electronic beat. Do you guys know the one I'm talking about?
Of course I do. West Ham have been in it.
Yeah, it's kind of like dun, dun, dun. Actually, you know
But
what?
it's
I'm gonna
not
play
the
it.
same. It's not
I'm
the
gonna
same
find
as
it on my
Champions
phone.
League, but it's still.
It's got
You
its
know
own,
what
but
you're-
it's like it's
you
silly,
know what
but
you're
it's
walking
brand,
out to.
it's branding,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? Like it's obviously a bit silly, but I do think these things make a difference.
Does the
No, you're
conference?
right.
Does the men's conference league have its own song?
No, it's the
No.
same as Europa.
Shares the
Okay,
Europa
here we
League.
go. I'm playing this onto the mic, so bear with on quality. And let me just get this YouTube ad out of the way. But it's kind of more electronic, which is why I think we could be a bit. See? I think that's why I think we can get a bit more creative with it. It's a real. You want to bop to it.
Ba, 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 ba.
I feel they don't play this.
No,
this
I know,
bit
this
though.
is slow.
You got to go into the.
Yeah, there we go. The drums.
Da, da.
Boom.
Yeah.
No words, like no lyrics.
No,
No, we wouldn't be having that. We'd have lyrics in ours.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
because then we can sing it.
because we can sing it, and that's where our strength
I
lies.
can't play the
So-
violin or anything.
I
so-
can play the violin.
Can you?
Wow, your head turns
Sorry, I can play the guitar.
Can
Ish.
you?
Well, I say that I had lessons when I was at school.
Jessy, can't you play multiple instruments?
I can.
What
All
are you?
of
so
them, you could be a
surprised.
one band.
What have you got?
Grade 8 piano and violin,
Wow.
and I can play the guitar as well.
Wow.
Wow.
But I'll let you have that one, Kate.
can
Okay,
just
so we
play
need
random
we
strings.
probably need a drummer of some sort because I think we want a beat that really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should get one
I
of
think
those.
Jilly could do drums.
Oh,
Jilly
yeah.
looks like a
Yeah,
drummer.
Jilly does
probably.
look like a drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you
Um,
gonna play?
I don't
Vocals.
know.
What did you play
I
at
played the
school?
trombone.
Wow.
Wow. And the funny thing about my trombone law is that I was the only one that did it. And so therefore you automatically go into the orchestra, but I couldn't read music. So I was just improving the whole time.
What,
And
you
then
you didn't learn to read music.
I
you
could
learned the
not do a thing.
trombone.
I passed my grade 1. Like passed it.
Oh.
And I was the laziest person in the world and never practiced. And then I gave up by like year 8. I did it in like year 5 to year 8. It was, and also lugging that thing around.
Yeah, I know, that's tough.
Oh
Especially as a
my
child.
God, going to
Yeah.
school and dragging that thing around.
It's like my parents made my brother play cello, and then
Oh
me and Emily got to play
no.
violin. But
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
that's
not
tough.
a vibe
Yeah.
to all my
Also, weird
brass
gender roles.
boys and girlies. I respect you.
It was my dream, and it is still my dream, to learn to play trumpet.
Maybe this is the challenge. Maybe
Yeah.
this is when you do it.
Oh, okay, yeah, trumpet.
Maybe this can be our season-long thing to
Okay.
learn
Design
an
it
instrument.
every bit.
And
Don't
we-
tempt me, because I actually really
26,
want to do
27
You want a
this.
challenge.
season.
Yeah, I do want to do this. I'll be
Listen-
downloading Sibelius.
Listener, viewer, please maybe have a go at creating.
Competition.
Oh
Counter-press
my
competition.
Counter-press
God,
competition.
We have to.
We'll come up with a prize, and if you can come up with a Europa Cup,
The prize is to jam here in the jam room with us.
we'll jam in the jam room. But I will send it to UEFA and
Flo
not get a reply.
is close personal friends with Dean Kessler.
I am
so-
not at all, but I will send it to the UEFA Media Relations email. It is very questionable whether they will even open it, but we will send that MP3 file. So if you want to have
Why
a go,
is that a prize? Anyone could email. Media relations. It's not a secret.
hey, you know,
Sorry.
when it comes from the Counterpress account, it comes with power.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, it comes with cachet.
And you can win anything on this
And
wall.
you could win you could win a prize like a fun fair.
Okay,
or-
I'm gonna work hard because I want to win the Kate Longhurst question.
And we'll obviously play it on the show. That's the prize, and it'll have pride of place
This
on our
honestly would be
TikTok,
so good.
Counterpress, Twitter. Maybe we'll invite you to perform at the Counterprezzies.
Yes.
There's so many
Oh
opportunities.
my
here,
God,
That's
okay?
walking out to
So
the
to
Europa Cup
yeah,
anthem that
Kate will
someone
do
has
a
made.
remix.
Oh yeah, you let to DJ.
I've forgotten it.
So okay, that's for you guys, listener. Quickly, Champions League qualifiers tonight. Obviously, by the time you listen to us, things will be kicking off. So Manchester United 1-0 down in their in their tie against Brann. Atletico Madrid 1-0 with Häcken. Real Madrid 2-1 up against Eintracht Frankfurt. Sporting Lisbon 2-1 up against Roma. So all to play for. Obviously, lots of other games as well. We'll probably talk about that on Monday's show, given what happens with Manchester United, because they'll probably be the biggest story people will be talking about. Obviously, more WSL games as well, but we'll be back on Monday talking about all of that. We'll see you then.